Girl
Discovered
can
that
go
others had
live.
joined our group in the meantime. The number of eligible bachelors at this wedding is astounding, Tess said. My girlfriends are already rubbing their hands in excitement, Sky added. Oh, look at Ian. He's
Girl
practically
figure out to
shivering with
figure live.
fear. Dylan held his hands up,
Mm-hmm.
laughing. Lucky I'm taken. Ian turned to me.
Let me
As my
find
sister and the bride, I
out.
beg you, save me. This is so
Okay.
much fun. Isabel did a little shimmy, grinning. These two always say you're their girl. So happy to finally see you throw them under the bus.
Chapter 14.
Okay,
Hunter.
okay.
I looked around the venue, chuckling. This had gotten completely out of control. It wasn't just a low-key party, it was an over-the-top wedding. But I supposed it was my own fault for handing the
Come up,
reins to
things
Amelia
from
and Tess.
my
I can't
the
believe
back
Mom
of
and
me
Tess pulled
people
this off
can
in a few
see.
weeks, Riker commented. Makes me wonder what
All
they
of my
would have come up
Bible
with if they had more
plug.
time. But I'm sure I'll
Nothing
find
of
out as soon as one of you
importance.
gets married. Don't say it out loud, Riker said with a grin. Might jinx me. Can't believe you're the first in the family to marry. I grinned back, silently agreeing with him. I hadn't thought I'd be the first one either. I hadn't envisioned marrying at all, period. I looked around again. What did Josie
La
think
la
about
la la la
everything?
la 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 la.
She'd been so adamant about not wanting this to feel like an actual wedding, yet looking around, I couldn't imagine anything looking more like a wedding. I was waiting in front of the officiant. When the music started, I looked up to the end of the red carpet and nearly swallowed my tongue. She was wearing a wedding dress. Why hadn't she told me that? Why hadn't anyone? Had Josie felt she had to do this in order to keep up appearances? I couldn't say why this impacted me so much. Even through the short veil covering her face, I noticed that her eyes were a little glassy. I wanted to soothe her, to reassure her. With shock, I realized that there was some part
That's
of me longing
cover.
for this to not be just for pretend. I mentally shook myself. I couldn't get caught up in moments like this and mess everything up. Josie was here today to do me a favor, to help me out. I'd better not muddle things. I wasn't her forever guy. She was my best friend, and that was all she was ever going to be. She wasn't going to fall for me. She hadn't until now. So why would things change? Her dad walked with her, beaming at the rest of the family on the way. Josie's parents and
Whose
siblings
account
looked
is
beyond
this?
happy, which brought along yet another wave of guilt. I had to do something about all the guilt. And if I was feeling this way, I couldn't even imagine how Josie felt. She smiled at the crowd, a warm and genuine smile, or maybe I just wished it so badly that I saw what I wanted. Take good care of her dad said when they reached me. I will, sir. I promise. I planned to make good on my promise. The Christmas trip was a good start. Josie wasn't one to easily accept things, but I wouldn't back down. When I took her hand, kissing it, I was overwhelmed by emotion in a way I couldn't explain or even comprehend. Josie's hand was shaking. I squeezed it lightly as we both turned to face the officiant. He began the ceremony, greeting and welcoming everyone. I was too caught up in Josie to hear him, and yet, when he spoke about being together for better or for worse, I couldn't block out his words. I wanted to believe what he said, but more often than not, I met people who gave up when the going got rough. I glanced at Josie again, looking for any signs that she was as affected by this moment as I was. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," blood rushed in my ears, pounding with ferocity. I lifted her veil slowly. She was stunning. Her eyes were bright, her lips full and beckoning me. When I leaned in to kiss her, I could barely hold myself back. I felt a deep, desperate need to claim this woman as mine.
Josie, up until now, I'd felt as if I was watching everything, myself included, as a movie. But when Hunter kissed me, I felt like a princess in a fairy tale, awoken from slumber by the prince's kiss. Everything came into focus. Correction, everything about him came into focus. His soft yet determined lips, the deep, lazy strokes of his tongue, his hand on my arm, touching my bare skin. Someone cleared their throat.
Easy there. We can all see you can't wait to be alone,
Riker said. Hunter smiled against my lips before pulling back, glaring at Riker. I blushed. But when Hunter took my hand and we walked out arm in arm, I couldn't help but grin from ear to ear.
You look stunning, Josie,
he whispered as we lined up for pictures. In an even lower voice, he added,
You didn't tell me you'd be wearing a white dress.
Thought I'd surprise you.
Did my cousins force your hand?
I nudged him playfully. Show a bit more faith in me, will ya? I liked this one, so I thought, what the heck, why waste the opportunity? We smiled and posed for the pics, and I tried not to allow my emotions to overwhelm me again. It was a testament to Amelia's and Tessa's organizational talent that the wedding looked as if they'd worked on it for months rather than a few weeks. I had attended plenty of weddings lately, what with half my friends tying the knot, and this one was right up there with the most elaborate ones I'd seen. I was happy I'd chosen a bridal gown. A cocktail dress wouldn't have done all of this justice, and I didn't need yet another reason to feel guilt toward Hunter's family. The ballroom was connected to the ceremony area by an archway with flowers. Hunter and I led the way, with the wedding party just behind us and the rest of the guests following suit. The ballroom was simply beautiful, understated elegance, and more than a dash of romanticism. High ceiling, supported by columns on the outskirts, and a crystal chandelier hanging in the center. The room had 2 levels, the ground floor and half a level higher, balconies with wrought iron railings. Twinkling lights were interspersed here and there, casting a warm glow throughout the room, highlighting the white freesias that served as centerpieces. The tables were arranged on the balconies. The ground floor was entirely used for dancing. The next hour was a whirlwind as everyone congratulated us. By the time we finally sat at the bridal table, I couldn't feel my toes. But my reprieve didn't last long because the DJ announced it was time for the first dance.
Ready, Mrs. Josie Gallagher?
Hunter asked. I laughed, taking his hand. There was a pep in my step as we headed toward the dance floor. You're not going to get over the fact that I didn't take your name anytime soon, are you? I asked, once he placed an arm around my waist. I was trying to distract myself, to focus on anything other than how close he was. It was to no avail. His presence was inescapable.
I planned to make you feel guilty about it for a long time.
No chance. I have zero guilt about not further inflating your ego. You think you have too much swagger anyway.
Let me prove my swagger then. Wife.
I shuddered at the word. I'd never imagined Hunter would say that word to anyone, much less to me. I'd been looking forward to the dance this morning, but now my hormones were still in overdrive from the kiss earlier. Even the barest of touches set me on edge, and I wasn't sure I could dance with him and not give myself away. When Hunter held me even tighter, I knew I didn't stand a chance. He'd take one look at me and just know.
Thank God you made me practice,
he muttered in my hair after twirling me once. See? Listen to me, you'll get far. He threw his head back, laughing.
Harassment.
And your best friend, I reminded him. He smiled wickedly.
I'd say you've become more daring since you put on that first ring.
I could hardly dispute that. Yes, but you seem to need it, honestly. Besides, I had to get in character. He watched me with warm eyes.
You're the best person I know, Josie. Thank you for doing this. I promise I'll make the next 3 years as amazing as possible.
I wanted to tell him that he better not, or I might not want the arrangement to come to an end at all. Instead, I braced myself for the final twirl. Hunter executed the move with perfect precision, just as we'd rehearsed it. But when he pulled me back, he didn't just catch me. He kissed me. I hummed low against his mouth because I just couldn't help it. He stroked my tongue lazily, and I couldn't help but wonder, how was he in bed? I've been trying not to think about this, but now I couldn't keep the thoughts at bay. The way he kissed me, fuck, it was as if he was close to throwing me over his shoulder and leaving the party with me. I had no doubt that Hunter would know how to take care of me, no matter if he loved me slowly or fucked me hard. When he pulled back, there was no mistaking the lust in his eyes. I danced the whole night. I had so much energy, I didn't think I could sit anyway. I danced with anyone who asked me to. Unfortunately, though, our guests were throwing questions at me left and right. When did this happen? Have you always been in love with him? How did he propose? Are you pregnant? I kept the number of champagne glasses I drank to a minimum because I wanted my head clear. For the most part, I had fun. So much fun, in fact, that I had to constantly remind myself this wasn't really my wedding. I wasn't going to go to bed and wake up next to this gorgeous man. One day, another woman would have his ring on her finger, and if we managed to play our eventual divorce as we were better off as friends, I'd even be at that wedding, celebrating the happy couple. Instead of cheering me up, the thought made my heart squeeze. Oh, Josie, 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 your hormones are wreaking havoc. That's all. I just had to tell Hunter to stop with the panty-melting kisses. They'd mess with any girl's head. I'd tell him just that. Starting tomorrow. Tonight, I wanted to enjoy them for a while longer. Once the number of guests dwindled, I indulged a little more in champagne. And in Hunter. I didn't know if he was buzzed too, or if I was feeling everything in a magnified way, but his kisses were becoming a little more frequent. A lot hotter. By the time we climbed into the car that would take us home, my entire body felt like a live wire. My nipples were too sensitive, pushing against my dress. The pressure between my thighs was unbearable. I'd never been more pleased by the sheer size of the house and by the fact that the bedrooms were far apart, because I had to take care of myself tonight. The past weeks had been like foreplay, and today had just been too much. I was so lost in my thoughts that I didn't realize what Hunter was about to do until he lifted me in his arms. I shrieked, grabbing onto his neck, holding on for dear life. What are you doing? Crossing the threshold with my new bride. I smiled. You think the immigration services have spy cameras around here? No, I just think that you're an incurable romantic and you secretly like that I'm carrying you. I giggled, resting my head in the crook of his neck. I was too tired and too wired up at the same time to pretend with him. I do like it, Hunter. We were quiet as he walked through the house with me. A 5 o'clock shadow already covered his cheeks. I stroked them absent-mindedly. His skin smelled amazing. The aftershave and cologne had evaporated, revealing the scent of him. He only put me down when he brought me to the master bedroom. For a brief second, I forgot we'd switched rooms and thought he was laying me on his bed. My nerves lit up in anticipation before I remembered the switch. I wasn't ready for the evening to end. And yet, when he left, I didn't stop him. Half an hour later, I paced the room, cursing. His damn dress just wouldn't come off. I tried to undo the laces at the back myself, and somehow I'd managed to make a knot of it. Even though I planned to keep the dress, preserve it like the prize it was, I was tempted to head to the kitchen, grab a knife, and just cut the string. I would have done it too, if I hadn't been afraid I might accidentally stab myself. How can this be so hard? Brides aren't supposed to undo their own wedding gowns, a small voice said at the back of my mind. I sighed. I knew that, of course, but Hunter was probably asleep by now. I didn't want to wake him up. If only I'd started this process sooner. But I'd wasted 20 minutes removing my makeup and the 300 or so bobby pins from my hair. After 15 more minutes, I gave up. My only choices were to either sleep in it or wake up Hunter. I opted for the latter. To my astonishment, he wasn't asleep. His bed was empty, but I could hear the shower in the bathroom. I sat on the mattress, right up until